Board. Hey, good morning, Misfits. It is Tuesday, June 16th. I hope everybody's doing amazing. It is the 481st Misfit call. We started these back December 18th, 2018. Seems like a decade ago. And we started it with the idea, started it with the intent to get out of our way, to get out of my way. And the calls were originally called Get Out of Your Effing Way, where the F stood for fear, frustrated, fatigued, fascinated, or quite possibly the F we might all want to put into that place some days. And in doing so, it started off with the idea that we're going to make a difference in the world. I wanted to make a difference in the world. I thought there was a philosophy that wasn't being taught, that wasn't being shared. I thought there was a community that needed to happen. And little did I know that it would last this long. So I want to welcome each and every one of you. I appreciate each and every one of you. You're all misfits. High energy misfits is kind of what we coined ourselves. And the reason I say misfits is we don't quite fit in out there, but we all seem to fit together in here. And in doing so, we have this idea, this concept, this psychographic of the way that we think that makes us more alike than it makes us more different. So one of the things that we do here on a regular basis is we have dialogues and conversations that you won't typically hear out there. They'll be highly emotional, sometimes highly controversial, and it's to awaken to the idea that we really do have a choice in life. And that choice in life really boils down to two very simple things. We can call it sophomoric or childish or naive to think it could be such a simple choice. The choice I believe we have each moment, this moment, in this moment is to choose between joy and misery. And if we choose between that, seems like our life gets a little bit better. And sometimes it's not always easy to choose between joy and misery. And yesterday I had some moments yesterday that I chose misery. And looking back on it, right, hindsight's 2020. And you know what? I need to apologize for that. So to me and to those that it affected. So it's not always a good thing. But to recognize it makes it valuable. And it's not always fun to recognize those moments where you choose misery. And it is a choice. It is, when you look at it, it is an absolute flat out choice. So, yeah, to the universe, I'm sorry. To those individuals who they know that they got an apology, because it was choosing misery. It really was. And it happened. So my question today that comes up is, what are you waiting to forgive? Because that will affect your life. That'll affect relationships in a way you've never, ever imagined. So before we get started, welcome everybody. Great to have everybody here. If there's anybody new on the call, drop an N in the chat. Love to hear if we do have anybody new that's joined us. We love to welcome you and say welcome aboard. Welcome to the Misfit train, Misfit community. We're a bunch of oddballs, but the profession that we're in kind of makes us that way. So for anybody that drops an N in the chat, if you all can send some love and gratitude and welcome to those individuals. Go ahead and send out your 3 messages of joy, of gratitude. I'd ask you to send a couple of extra because of the way things are in the world right now. We could use sending out a couple of extra conversations and moments for people to be reminded that they're amazing and special in your life. And we've been doing something here the last couple of weeks or so, is starting off with a little bit of prayer. So let me just see if our prayer warrior is there. RBP, you around? I see your picture. Okay.
I'm here. I'm trying to get outside to do this prayer outside. So maybe y'all can hear the birds and everything in the background. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, let me put my cup of coffee down so I can settle in with you guys. And I'll say a prayer.
Cool.
Okay. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for waking us up. Thank you for the sun rising. Thank you for breath in our lungs. Thank you for peace around us. And thank you for moments that if it's not as peaceful as we want it to be, that it stirs us and reminds us we're in full control to choose joy no matter the situation and no matter what's around. Thank you for the hearts that are gathered here on this phone call, the houses they represent. Thank you that they're here wanting to become more and wanting to become exactly what you've created them to become. Thank you that they're striving for excellence and they're allowing you to shine through them, to show love and peace to others, to learn how to speak life over each other. Help us to speak life over ourselves and to all those we come in contact with. And to the ones that we love, bring to our mind, quicken to our mind what it is you would have us thinking about today, and more importantly, what it is you would have us say to ourselves, back to you, and to those that we see or that we post about or that see our post or see us. Control our tongues, the tongue's like a rudder on a mighty ship. Control our tongues to direct our path and help everything we do to glorify you, to lift you up, to lift others up, and in turn it'll lift us up. And we thank you for that, Lord. And we say all this in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rhonda. Good morning, y'all. Well, I see some hands up right away, so that usually means let me go there first. So good morning, Anne.
Good morning, Sean. How are you?
Outstanding, my love. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. So I just wanted to ask you about something. Wait, actually, do you have something to say, like, for today's topic, or can I just go on?
No, just go. Listen, I come up with a topic, but this is so for all of you on here. Yes, if I come up with a topic, this isn't about me needing to share some more information. It's about wanting to make sure I bring you value. So if I start off something, unless I'm promoting something like the secret sauce thing, but that's all there. That's behind me. People can go take a look at it. I want to hear what's on your hearts. So, don't anybody ever be afraid to just raise your hand, because this isn't about me delivering monologues or sermons. So good morning, Anne. How can we be of service?
First of all, thank you for sharing that yesterday you had a difficult day, because sometimes I think I put you on a pedestal and I'm like, Sean never has a bad day. Why am I having a bad day? So it's nice to, I know you went through some things and it's not nice for me to get happy like this, but I'm happy that you're also human sometimes.
I'm happy you were sad for a moment, because it sucked seeing you as no. So here's the thing. There's probably lots of moments where it's the choice becomes present and you have to breathe and choose into it. I didn't choose into joy long enough that the other showed up. And here's the thing that I know. It's real easy if you choose misery to justify it. It's real hard to choose joy sometimes and justify that as well, because we sometimes, I will tell you this, the misery that happened was because I wasn't in the moment. That's the only reason it happened. If I was in the moment I'm always in is joyful. It's when I got sucked out of it to something in the past or something potentially in the future, that's when you lose joy. So that's what I did. I got sucked out of the moment, as opposed to going, this is awesome. This is an amazing moment. I got sucked out and said, well, wait a minute. And in the waiting, right? In the waiting is where it got lost. So I'm just explaining to you from my mind. That may or may not make sense, but go ahead with your question.
Makes sense.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because I spend a lot of my time in the future, like being like, oh, what can I do for my business and stuff, rather than being in the present, which is something I need to focus on. But recently, I've just noticed this in myself, but I don't know if it's a real thing that I've noticed or if it's my old story. So I want to clarify that. with you. So whenever I have like awakenings, or just before that, I realize that I am very distant on these calls, meaning that I will click start and I will listen, but I'm not my usual sense in that fact that I'm focused. I'm like scrolling through my phone, very distracted with things, like even things on the floor, my mind's running. And then there's certain points where my mind will come back to the Zoom, but there are a lot more points where I'm just so distracted by everything. And then it's after that usually I kind of, some like new thought appears into my mind, or I have like an awakening. So that's just something I've noticed, but I don't know if that's like an old story being like, don't listen to him, or if that's just like a thing where it's like my kind of, I don't know, like signal that I'm about to go on an awakening.
Well, here's what I'm going to take a wild guess. Whenever you're on anybody's call, unless you're leading it, you're usually scrolling.
No, I'm not. When I'm on your calls, I don't really scroll that much. I'm with my book and I'm like intently listening.
Okay, so then what was the question? So what was the statement you were saying then?
Is that when I'm about to go on awakening, I'm like distracted. Like,
Oh, sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So it's not an old story.
But how often can you get awakened?
Well, now it's been like the time frames are a lot shorter.
Right, but how often can you be awakened? How about this moment? How about this moment?
Well, I guess so.
This moment has never existed. So if you're awake in this moment, aren't you awakened?
That's true.
And then the more you become awake, see, that's the thing. We think that there needs to be a time frame between awakenings.
Oh.
See, that is the old story. You got to wait 4 months for this to happen. You got to wait 4 hours for this to happen. You got to wait 4 minutes for this to happen. You got to wait 4 seconds for this to happen. No, it's happening now. Why would you miss out on 3 other awakenings? If it happens every 4 seconds, why would you give up 3 seconds of your life? Right now, you're awakened now. And how about now? And how about now? How about in this moment? See, when you realize the awakening that's happening in every moment, you really don't have time to pay attention to the other crap that's going on.
That's true.
Because if you understood what was happening in this moment, the universe that's coalescing, and the planets and this galaxy that's coalescing, and our planetary system that's coalescing, that's operating in perfect harmony, and Jupiter is where it is, and I'm going to be a 7th grade boy. Uranus is where it is, and Mercury stayed where it's at, and all of these things, and the sun is, we're rotating at the sun with perfect harmony, that we could predict the time the sun is going to rise, and yet everybody wakes up and goes, "Ugh, there's the sun. Oh my gosh, there's the sun! Are you kidding me? It worked again! How cool!" How could we ever be out of joy? The planets are breathing in the CO2. Whatever we exhale, they inhale. And whatever the universe exhales, we inhale. And it exhales just as much misery as it does joy. The world proves that. And we have a choice. Do we breathe in faith and courage, or fear and doubt? Do we exhale faith and courage? Do we inhale fear and doubt? Or do we inhale faith and courage and exhale fear and doubt? In this moment, Anne, have you ever been here before?
No.
Could you sit in childlike wonder and go, "Oh my gosh"? Yes. But no, if we did that, people would be putting us in insane asylums, until we're all in insane asylums, and then the inmates would run the world, and that's what we need. So there is no delay in your joy. Our conscious brain is what delays our joy.
Yeah. Also, another thing, I actually just noticed this morning. So for the past week, I've in the mornings I go out for a walk in my park, and I've noticed that I've been like sitting down on the grass and like enjoying the sun, and like enjoying nature more. And that would be a lot more shocking if you knew who I was before that, because
Yeah.
I hate grass. I hate like
Oh, you
anything.
used to.
I used to, yeah. I used to hate grass. I used to hate, like, if I saw a fly, I would run. And it's like this big, and I would still run. And now, like, I literally wait for the fly to go past me. Like, I don't even shudder. And I don't know why, like, that's just happened.
So let me ask you, Anne. You seem to be an incredible insectologist and grassologist. So I have a friend who was really afraid of the grass and bugs, really didn't like it at all, and now they enjoy sitting there. If I were to get some advice from you on what I should tell them, they ask me why. I wonder why that's happening. What would be the advice you would give me? All of a sudden, something they didn't like for years, now all of a sudden they seem to be able to bear or withstand or possibly quite even enjoy. What would you tell them is happening in their world?
That they enjoy.
Okay, I'll tell them that. Anything else you'd like me to tell them?
I don't know.
Well, you've experienced it. Now that you've experienced it, they're going through it. You're already you're like the mentor to it, because you didn't like it and now you do. That's what the experience of mentorship is. It is allowing somebody to walk away with your wisdom.
Yeah.
So if you were to mentor them on how they should sit through that and and allow something that was so not what they would do normally in a day, and they're now wanting to do it, but they're a little nervous about it, what do you think I should suggest to them?
To just enjoy it.
Okay. And if they just enjoy it, then what happens?
I don't know. If you enjoy it, then you'll enjoy.
Okay.
You're happy, right?
So is it an old truth that they were believing that's no longer true?
Yeah.
Okay. So if it's an old truth they're no longer believing, they now have a new truth. Well, how do you think the old truth feels?
Surprised.
Okay. And if that old truth is surprised, do you think it wants to stay true, or is it okay if it's no longer true?
I think it's okay if it's no longer true.
And could we put anything in life into this sentence? Whether it be grass or boyfriends or girlfriends or belief in our business, there's a lot of truths that we have that all of a sudden one day we can sit with it, and the old truth is no longer true. Does that make us not true?
No.
No. So the truths we have that we sit under are not always us. They're just truths that somebody told us. And if you go back, there's probably somebody in your life who didn't like grass or didn't like flies, and that was a belief you had, because the belief you have now is that flies are okay and grass is okay. It changed in a week.
Yeah, but it naturally changed as well. It's not something that I was.
Maybe it was unnaturally broken.
Yeah.
So did it unnaturally change to natural? See, that's the thing. Most of our life is spent in an unnatural belief. I'm not good enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not strong enough.
Mm.
I'm not light enough. I'm not dark enough. That's an unnatural truth, because the truth is you really do like grass.
Yeah.
You may not go out and make a wheat smoothie right now, a wheatgrass smoothie, but the point is that something that had kept you from sitting quietly on the earth was an untruth for how many years?
I mean, since I was about 7.
So 20 years?
Yeah.
20 years, this truth, and then in 1 week you shattered it.
Yeah.
In 1 week, your new awareness, your new awakenings shattered a truth that was true for 20 years that now seems to be an untruth. This happens in every breath of our life. Truth versus untruths. I'm not good at my business. I can't do that. I need to learn this before I can get there. No, you don't. You're already there. You were already on the grass. For 20 years, you avoided it, but you were already on the grass. This is the fear, the sadness, excitement and the new normal. So the fear of grass existed for 20 years. Now the sadness might be, you know how many times I could have been sitting on the grass?
Yeah.
Ugh, all those times I walked away from friends, all those blah, 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 all at a subconscious level that you will never know. This is why depression comes in. It's like, why are you sad? I don't know, because it's really happening at thousands of words a minute at a subconscious level. This may not be a depressing moment because it's just grass and flies. I mean, it's not like I'm going to go out and, start having a date with a fly. They made a movie out of that. My point is that it's grass and flies. They're really not that big an issue, and they really don't bother me like they did. I used to run and scream and holler. Now I don't.
I cried.
Okay. So there was a belief, a truth so strong that what used to make you cry is no longer an issue. Who changed that, Anne?
Me.
And who had the courage to change that?
Me.
And if you can change from a belief that used to make you cry to one that's like, I don't know, I have no idea where that came from. The question then becomes, at the subconscious level, who's going to be disappointed? The old story of 20 years. This is why sometimes people who get in bad relationships wind up always in bad relationships, because it's their flies they get attracted to, even though they don't like the flies. And even though everybody knows that they don't like the flies, they're like, you're back with the flies. Well, this is different. But now you're sitting with the flies, and if there's a whole bunch of them, you'd probably run away screaming. But one's not a big thing, and two's not a big thing. And you're like, and now they're not attracted to you because you weren't repelled by them.
And I don't want to kill them anymore, because normally I have the urge whenever it comes near me, this is so bad, but I would want to get someone to kill them. So normally my brother would, but now I'm just like, if as long as it doesn't touch me.
And then and then wait for the day that it lands on you, and you're like, oh, okay. This is huge. I mean, think about it. It seems funny we're talking about it because how many people are kind of giggling behind the scenes with Anne? Drop a G in the chat if you're thinking, run away from flies. Now, there's going to be some other people who are going to go, I'm with you. I know exactly what you mean. But everybody's kind of giggling, going, wait, what? Flies? Really? Come on, get over it. And nobody ever got over flies by saying, get over it. This is so fundamental in awakening. I know it seems crazy, and somebody's jumping on here going, wait a minute, I thought this guy was like a guru of helping us with business. Yeah, we're talking about flies, and we're talking about sitting on the grass. But what we're really talking about is a 20-year-old story that you decided was no longer true. And
this actually is quite, what you're talking about is quite, not funny, but so I have a middle name that I've hated for years. I don't know why. I hated it for years, right? And I would never use it. If school asked, I would never put my middle name. And then when I graduated from uni, that was the first time I'd used that middle name. And they'd asked me for verification because they were like, you've never used this name, right? So the other day I looked it up and tried to find out what it means. And it's such a weird not a weird definition, but it suits me, but it's not something I would have imagined the name to mean. So it basically means the discrimination between the real and the unreal, and the truth and the false, and the permanent and the temporary. And it's so ironic that I pushed that name away for so long. And now is the time where I'm actually beginning to embrace that name. I'm actually using it when I'm journaling. I use it at school, whatever. Because I actually...
When did that start?
A couple of weeks ago, actually.
And when did the fear of getting over grass and bugs?
A couple of weeks ago. Well, 2 weeks ago.
Mm. So do you know what happened 2 weeks ago?
I'm guessing I've accepted my name.
Well, something changed inside of you. You changed the way you looked at things, and the things you looked at changed. I'd go back and look. Was it something that you heard on the call, this call, some call? Something awakened inside of you that all of this is coalescing and converging at this time. Things that really, by themselves, they were repelled. Together, you wouldn't even be in the same room if somebody said, "Hey, listen, let's talk about grass bugs in your middle name." You'd be like, "Get the hell out." And I bet if you look back, there's more things happen. So I would go back and I find out what that trigger was, what that catalyst was 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
to see what it was that you decided to give up on.
Okay.
Because that's the part. And maybe it was longer, but I'd go back and I'd go back 2 weeks from today, and I'd start looking at our calls on YouTube and just seeing, was there something, were you one of the topics that we had of conversation to where you did have a breakthrough? Was there something that said, because this thing that awakened you, that you shed, because you shed the stories to allow the truth to come out, because your name was always there. You just didn't want to use it. The grass and flies were always there. You just didn't want to sit with them.
Yeah.
So you shed an old story that has now given you this new level of freedom and awareness and awakening, and actually you to enjoy life a little bit more. And this is the challenge with growth, is that we're never quite sure what the fertilizer was that allowed us to metamorphosize, to change how we shed our old skin. We molted an old story. Like a crustacean, we wiggled out of that old story that was confining us, and all of a sudden we're freer now. We're it's not even an issue. We're like, I can't even imagine. There's a part of you that says sometimes, going, I don't know why I was ever afraid of grass, or I didn't like it.
Mm.
So that would be something I would encourage you. Sometimes we don't know what caused the seed to break open for us to grow. And we just keep on going. We just keep rolling down the road, and we go, I don't know how I had that breakthrough. And then sometimes it gets too far away to where we can't really define and go back and look at it. We don't have our notes deep enough. We'll miss something that'll keep us from being open to what it was that the change was, because it was something very subtle.
Yeah. Also, one last thing.
Yes.
So was it Sunday? Yeah, Sunday was the day where you and Rhonda poured into me, right? And it was amazing, by the way. I recorded it and I have it with me all the time. I've written it down in bullet points. And after the call, I went downstairs and I showed the recording to my mom and dad. And my mom was like, oh, like, I'm so glad you have a community like this. Like, are you ever going to meet up? Whatever. And I was like, yeah, like if, I was to ever, fly to America, we would try and meet. Like, yeah. I don't know, maybe in the future, right? And my dad said something really interesting. He was like, no. And I was like, because he always says no. I just went, I'm an adult, so like I can do whatever I want, but like in a nicer way, like not rude. And then my dad turned to my mom and was like, why are you giving her these ideas? Like, let her just stay here. And my mom was like, she's 24. She needs to do her own thing. She needs to kind of fly and just leave, right? And then my dad was like, he turned around to my mom and he said, oh, yeah, but I can't handle that. And he's never said that before. And I was speechless, like I just stopped. And that like little thing that he said has run like through my mind since Sunday. And I realized that sometimes, like even whilst I'm doing activities for my business or schoolwork or uni, whenever I would hear like my mum and dad's voice raise a little bit, I would go downstairs and make sure everything's okay and everything is stable. And I realized that I was letting their energy control me. So like, even if like they didn't smile for that 1 second, or if they, you know, cried, everything I felt responsible for. Whereas after I heard that, I was like, it's out of my control. Like, I can't stop growing to keep you happy and be that little girl that you want me to be. Like, I have to do what I need to do, and I need to do what I need to do, basically.
Mhm.
And I think my dad found, because Wanda said at the end of it, Anne's a world changer, a game changer, and that's what my dad kind of was like, no, like, you're just for us. It clicked for me, and I was like, kind of want to do more than just stay with you, Dad. So yeah, that was like another awakening for me, where I was just like, wow, I didn't realize how attuned I was to their energy. Like, I let every emotion of theirs control me.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now guess what you get to say to your dad every day in a note or somehow or in some form or fashion.
I'm still your little girl, but I still have things to do.
Well, I would leave it at just, I'm still your little girl. I'll always be your little girl. And just remind him that he'll always be your dad. And you could say to him, you'll always be my dad. Or whatever cute name you have for him.
Yeah. Okay. I think he needs that.
He does need it because he doesn't hear it, but he's definitely sure as hell not going to ask for it.
Yeah.
And he's gonna say he doesn't need it. But I'd encourage you to do it anyways.
Yeah.
And just get him a little note. Just leave him places where he can find it. Under his pillow, wherever it is, in his favorite chair.
Yeah.
And just let him know you love him.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Watch how it feels. Because you going away has been his grass and flies for 24 years.
Yeah, he's mentioned that quite a few times, even when I was young. And I used to think that's crazy. I've got like years.
Yep. So
that's sense.
Let him know that he's not forgotten.
Okay.
Because that's every dad's fear, especially with their girls. I can't imagine, but I can imagine. I know what it's like to see Mason as he drives off and goes to work and goes, one day when he drives off, it'll be to not come home.
Oh, wow. That's going to make me cry now.
So that's a dad's fear.
Yeah.
Did I do good enough? Let him know he's done good enough. Let him know that because of him, you're now over grass and flies.
I will. Thank you, Sean.
I love you.
Love you.
Let's go to Melissa. Good morning, Melissa. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
Outstanding. How are you?
I'm doing great. I can be better.
Okay.
I really need help.
Okay.
I finally found my center, right?
Okay.
I live with my parents, and they just found, like, I hid from them that I was doing IM because my brother joined it way before me. My brother's been in it like for a year now, and I know they're against it. And so I didn't tell them when I joined because I already knew the results and I didn't want to hear any negativity about it.
Right.
And somehow they found out my stepdad found out about me joining it, and I know he was probably hurt because he asked me before if I was in it, but at the time I wasn't. I was just looking into it. So he thinks I lied to him, but I really didn't. But he was just speaking really negative to me, saying like it's basically a scam, and like, you know, just speaking a lot of negativity. And he's like, for now on, you need to leave your door open and stuff like that. Like taking over my privacy. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I was like, I need my privacy. That's like me saying to leave the door open when you use the restroom. I was standing up for myself, because I can't do that to myself. I can't let him run me over like he used to, because I will only just, let him talk. And I was just getting angry inside, but I was still keeping my calm because I didn't want it to escalate. Because it will get to that point like it used to, but I'm a different person now.
Mm-hmm.
I know who I am, and I'm still getting to know myself. But how do I deal with that with living here when I know what I want to do?
So one of the things is that we need to get out of their ears and into their eyes. And has your brother had success with his business?
Well, I think they think he sacrificed a lot.
Okay.
But now he's succeeding. Like, he's a really good trader, and I'm very proud of him. He's came a long way, and I don't think they see that because he isolated himself from being around
Okay.
them.
And so could it be that they don't want you to do it because they think they'll lose another child? I know it seems crazy, but we've got to look at all of the alternatives, all of the possibilities. And when we eliminate them, the only thing left is the reality. So what can you do in your business? What do you think would change? What do you think would change the way they look at things in your business that would allow them to say, hey, listen, keep doing it. Go on, champion.
I think they just want me to spend more time with them.
Okay. So can you spend more time with them?
I can.
Okay. And can you work a little smarter in your trading business?
Yes, I'm also in a different business too, so I'm doing two.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I would encourage you, it's challenging to do two only because of the amount of effort it takes to keep the story clear. And two is not a bad thing. Most people in Europe, most people in the European markets that I've built in, they're in 3 or 4 because companies, whenever they go international, have a tendency to fade and go away. So they always have a backup plan. And it's not uncommon to be in 3 or 4 companies in Europe. It's rare that anybody ever gets to a high level of success, but it's still, it's a way for them to keep their income alive, because a lot of times their livelihoods depend on their income. So I say that to say, in either one of your businesses, when's the last time you enrolled somebody? We're going to call them business A and business B. I don't need to know the name.
Business A, I enrolled one person, and I was mostly because I only been in 2 weeks, and I just started the B one yesterday.
Okay. So I would caution you on your energy and your time, because the grass always looks greener. It's just as tough to mow when you get there. But the key is that either company A or B, the only thing they do is pay you for 2 things: finding customers and building leaders. So that's the only thing you can focus on. If you're learning about ingredients or formulas or anything else, that's not what the company is going to pay you on. And if you look at people's biggest residual incomes, it comes from those 2 things: finding customers and building leaders. So that being said, you have an opportunity to be able to spend time with your family and then really dig into the fundamentals of what it takes to grow your business. But I would encourage you to not make things more difficult, because you can't put authority in things you have no authority over. And underneath that roof, the authority is the parental units. For those of you that have ever watched Saturday Night Live, you'll get that little note right that I just said. So your stepdad, like it or not, is your stepdad, and he has the authority over that dwelling. I get it, I understand it, but do you think when you go to prospect somebody, if you're aggravated with your stepdad, don't you think that language is going to come across when you have a conversation with your prospects?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you're going to get frustrated because they don't get it and you're not getting sharp enough. And then you're going to shout off and snap off and blow off to your stepdad. And then the cycle deteriorates quickly. And then we start the blame game. You don't understand. No, you didn't speak to your prospects the right way. That's your fault, not his. And this is where it's so critical to be able to compartmentalize where you're at and what you do. So I would encourage you that when you go to speak to your prospects in either A or B, again, I'm against that at this point, only because of the experience that you have yet to learn of how to deal and differentiate those two, because there's always going to be a bleed over one to the other. Oh, well, if you don't like that, you should like this. And if you don't like this, you should like that. And the prospect doesn't know where they're supposed to be going. And here's the thing. If they know that you're part of two, guess what they think they got to be?
Part of two.
So it just causes we do duplicate. When we sit there and go, I don't know why they don't get it, and I don't know why my team's not doing it. Well, you got to look and go, well, are you doing it? So I would encourage you, when you go to have your conversations, find a consistent place in your room, if that's where you're going to do your conversations, that has your energy up, that has this, and it's not meant this way, but your little safety zone, your little shrine of energy, that when you go over there and you sit down in that chair or in that corner with your pillows and your whatever, that's your high energy place. And you can have conversations. But it's just that place. You can only do it in that place, because with all of the other stress that's going on, and whether it's your brother succeeding or not succeeding, or your mom or dad, this, that, or the other, it's up to you. When you build your business, it's up to you, and you can't blame anybody else.
Okay.
So
That
you
sounds
found your
better.
center, find a place to express your center, but have it in that place. You're going to literally go put on your Superwoman outfit when you go into that place, and nothing can bother you. And then when you come back out, you can deal with all of the issues that are around you. But in order to build either A or B, you're truly going to have to sell it. And Zig Ziglar says sales is a transference of enthusiasm. So your in theos, your God within, is going to have to be at a higher level than you've ever thought, because then it'll be just average. When you get totally excited, you'll be at a level higher than you've ever been. But for the person listening, they'll go, okay, this sounds awesome. This sounds cool. And you're like, man, I gave them my best. And it was your best. But for them to hear it, it's going to have to be louder than the noise they're listening to already. And do you think there's a chance that other human beings your age, your demographic, are going through a similar scenario as you are? And imagine if they got a phone call from you, and imagine you getting a phone call from somebody just like you, and you're hoping somebody can give you a way out, give you a hand up, a hand out, and give you a chance to step up and step out, and give you a chance to believe in yourself again. And that person on the other end of the phone is like, hey, hi, yeah, I'm in business, and I do a couple of businesses, because the one I'm in, I'm really not doing so well. And this other one, I'm really excited about this other one. And would you like to join me? And they're like, ugh, I need somebody who can guide me and lead me. So your conversation doesn't have to be about either company. It can be about setting some goals and setting some boundaries so that people can have more success.
That sounds good. That helps me look at things in another perspective also. So
Yep.
thank you.
Okay. And I would spend time with your stepdad. I take it that there's times that he's an okay dude, right?
Sometimes.
So I would find those times, because those are the times that'll make your business easier. I would help create some of those times. It only has to be for a moment. And just tell him thank you for being around. Thank you for the good things you do for our family.
All right, I do that. I start doing that.
Because when you do that, that'll change the environment.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Let's go to LaToya. Good morning, LaToya.
Great day, everyone. How you doing, Sean?
Outstanding, my love.
Oh my gosh, Sean, let me tell you all this. First and foremost, I am happy and grateful for each and every one of you all, because since I made a decision to change, for the betterment for my children, as well for myself, I've been noticing changes just because when Nano shared about having your hands open instead of resisting, I analyzed there was times where I was resisting and didn't know it, but it took that one person to enlighten me, to let me know that there are times I resisted. And I'm a student of life, Sean, and I'm be honest with you, that, I may already know it, but why didn't I do it? So it's like, it doesn't matter if it may be something you said that I heard before, but I'll still be a student and say, well, whoa, that's mind blowing. It's like, well, Tori, you heard that before, but this time is different because my awareness had heightened. So I know I've been writing with my left hand a lot lately. Now I'm taking notes with my left hand. I noticed it last night. I took a full page of notes with my left hand. I didn't even think about it. I just grabbed it and just started writing with my blue pen. But I noticed like my awareness had raised. It's almost like Avatar, the Airbender. And that's one of my favorite shows. I kid you not. So it's like, Sean, I just want to thank people like you, great leaders that enlighten people like me, on a whole nother level when we made a decision now. Because some people can hear this and be like, well, Sean, I already get it. I don't need to take notes. But it's people who are students and say, well, I'm going to apply it. I'm going to see how this will work into my life, how this will make me a better person. And by you being a living example of that, it makes it much more easier to apply it. Because like, dang, if it worked for Sean, then I could do it too, instead of just saying, well, Sean is already at his pinnacle stage in life. I'll do it maybe next lifetime. It's not that. It's just showing that we could do the same thing too. It's like, you hear about people, having like 70,000 plus people in the organization. Then people are like, oh man, that's just a lot of people, but it's really not. It just comes with a decision. So I'm having this mind blown. Like, I choose joy, but also, Sean, I'm grateful for the positive energy, but I'm also grateful for the negative, because I'm telling you why. Because that keep me focused on what I want in life. But I think people try to shut off the negative energy so much that they don't know how to deal with it when it happens. But when you understand you're a creator of your life, even when a negative happens, it's not that bad. What it did just give me that focal point of what I really want. And oh my God, I just had this mind-blowing moment. I just want to thank you and Nano for just me being a student. I'm like, it's like at the right place at the right time. But it was at that very moment because I asked for it. And I didn't realize I would ask for it with my hands closed to. It'll be a year since I've been on Nano's call in August. But it was that moment where I had my hands open, then realizing that what I was doing, that's why I was still on his calls. But then it led me to here because my hands are open. But then, some things happen, then my hands were closed. But then I realized, Tori, you can have your hands open on everything. Even in meditation, I have my hands open. Even when I'm grateful, I have my hands open. When I'm thankful for nature, I have my hands open. Because I'm allowing that feeling of joy to just, that wind blow just different now. Them birds sing differently because I choose joy. And I love nature. Oh my God, it's so beautiful because it heightens my awareness. And when I listen to you speak, Sean, and and Nano, and then I'm reading the books to apply in my life, and I'm just like, wow, it always came to a decision with my hands open. So I want to thank you, Sean. I mean, I just want to thank you all so much. Everyone you guys on this call plays a part in this. So this, it just. Because I made a decision, it led me to here with all of you. So everyone plays a part of my self awareness. And I just want to thank you all. And I love you all. And I mean that from like wholeheartedness. So, man, I feel like I'm floating. Like literally. I feel like I'm floating. It's like an astral projection 10x. So it's like, wow, oh, wow. I'm like floating in the clouds, like I'm above cloud 9, like cloud.
Here's what happens when we're in gratitude. We reverse aging.
Wow.
Deepak Chopra says, and science has proven that when you're in a high state of gratitude, you are literally reversing aging. Wow. And that's what they found, the telomeres, on the end of genes. There's companies, network marketing companies, who said this product will reverse aging. And when they talk about that, when you see reverse aging, and they're talking at a clinical level, it's literally the only thing that will reverse aging is the length on the end of genes. The genes that curl around on the tips of genes is something called a telomere. Okay. And every time the genes replicate and they make new genes, and the body duplicates itself, those telomeres, they slice off a little bit of the telomere. A little bit of the telomere is consumed in the duplication. So the cell gets a little older and gets a little older. And they found no matter what drug it is, the only thing that allows those telomeres on the ends of your genes to grow is in a state of gratitude and joy. There's a Harvard study that was actually done. They took 5 or 10 guys, usually in the age of 65 and older, and they took their hair growth, their fingernail growth, their stature, their erectness of their spine, how fast their hair grows. They took all of this study and they put them in there for 2 weeks. But the second they walked into this monastery, and it was an old monastery that they converted back to 1960s when these guys were out of high school and going into college, the music played, the colored played, the ping pong table there, all of the games were there, the jukeboxes were there, everything that they grew up with in that age. It was like you walked into a time capsule. Wow. These guys are walking in with canes and walkers, and some of them on medications, and some of them with this, that, or the other. By the time the 2-week study was over, most of them were playing tag football.
Wow.
You can Google it. Monastery, reverse aging monastery. Google that and you'll see the whole story. It's a woman, I forget the name of the woman who's the scientist that put it on, but it's a study. This is real. And their nails grew faster. They were off their medication. Their metabolisms changed. Their body became more erect. Their muscle density improved. This is what Joe Dispenza talks about. Your personality makes up your reality, or your personal reality makes up your personality. They were in nursing homes. They were in all of these places. They used to just sit on a rocking chair, blah, blah, blah. So when we're in joy, we age a lot slower.
That why you still look like you 18 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Latoya, for being a living example of somebody going through this process and sharing it with us. We're grateful for that.
I'm grateful for you all as well. Thank you once again.
Love you, Latoya.
Love you too.
Ooh, we get to go.
Love you, Sean.
Love you too, Moshe. Good morning, Bakumi. She's probably dancing.
Hello, sorry, my mute thing is really messing with me, but I'm trying to be enjoy about it. But hello, Sean, how are you?
Outstanding, my love. Good morning.
good morning, everyone else, or afternoon to the UK people, UK gang. Um, I feel like Anne brought up a lot of questions about my own like family dynamic. Whew, and Melissa touched on it as well. I feel like when it comes to the big decisions, they don't trust me, and for me to make them, I have to like disobey or lie to them, and I don't like that. I don't like how that happens. I don't like how I have to lie in order to act on my own accord, like act on my own will. And I don't like how there's like a disconnect there, because I want us to be connected, and I want us to like I want to be able to act on my own. I just want to be able to act on my own will.
So are
like
you
the
in the middle of any big decision right now?
Yes, and I'm still lying to them.
Okay. So can you have a dialogue with them and say, listen, let me know when it would be possible. And it's not about the decision. It's about a dialogue about decision making. And you might ask them, when can we sit down and have a grown-up discussion about decision making? And the key word there is grown up, and it's going to require you to not get defensive either and say, help me understand what's required to make decisions, and see what their protocol is. See, you need to go prospect them on the idea of seeing what it is they like and don't like about decision making. The reason most people don't want somebody to make decisions on their own is because why? Chances are they've made horrible decisions in their life, and they think you're going to do it as well. So it's possibly not to keep you from winning, it's to protect you from losing. But most people make decisions so they don't lose. It's rare people make decisions to win. Most decisions are made to not lose. They're going to play to not lose. That's different than playing to win. So I would encourage you, the same way I sit down with somebody and I say, listen, give me an idea of what success looks like to you in any business model. Most people can't describe to me what success would look like in a business model. They can only tell me what they would do to not lose their shirt if they opened a business. So you might ask them a question. Hey, listen, mom, dad, give me your criteria for a good decision. Blah, 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 blah. No, I'm asking you an adult question. You can't dismiss it. I'm asking to see your perspective on what makes a decision good and what makes a decision bad, and what's the criteria for both. And when you ask a question like that versus you're right, I'm wrong, which is what it sounds like the discussion is, what would be the you win, I win, we all win conversation of decision making? And Bakumi, you're highly energetic.
Yes.
Not that anybody needed to remind you. Going to require your midnight radio DJ voice. It's going to require you to be in a state they're not used to seeing you in, so that you can get answers you're not used to seeing. That's one of the ways to change state, is that we show up in a different state. How many of us have ever watched a movie to where the husband and wife have been married together, or on TikTok now, right? They're doing they drop the towel thing. Yeah, I know, I watch TikTok. And they're in the middle, and these grown-ass men are playing video games. First of all, that should be that should just end right there, playing on TikTok. I'm going to go out and drop a towel. I got to drop a towel to get my lazy-ass boyfriend husband off of video games. I'm sorry, what? But that's me throwing an opinion out. But I'm watching these grown-ass men, and every one of them is on, they're either laying on a couch watching. Not one woman has had to go outside to get her husband from weeding, planting a garden or fixing the fence to go get him to come inside. Or washing dishes. I've never seen a lady have to drop the towel while he's washing dishes. Lazy ass sons of guns. Anyways, you see how they change the state. And so if you show up and say, hey, I'd really like to get your guys' thoughts on something. And it's slower than you ever thought. Like you're speaking molasses. It'll be enough of a state change that they will be, okay, this is different. Let's talk about this. But if you go to them in your Bikumi wonderful energy, hey, listen, I was on a call today and I was told that I'm supposed to ask you. Yeah, because I could hear it. I'm supposed to ask you, what makes a good decision? Go ahead, tell me. Because I want to know. I want to be a part of this decision-making process. Tell me what makes a good decision. They're going to be like, what the hell? First of all, what call were you on? That's not important. This is a guy that blah, blah, blah. And then forget it. It goes downhill from there.
That sounds a lot like the conversation, the conversations that we've previously had.
Really, I'm shocked. Human nature is not predictable at all. When two immovable forces get together, something gets crushed. Because you are an immovable force. The question is remember this whole thing? When you put your hand up, they put their hand up, and I push, they resist. Then I tell them to push, and I say, don't stop pushing. And I keep enough resistance, but I walk them all around the room. And in the resistance, who's leading? I am. So I know how to resist just enough to keep them coming so that I can get them to where they want to.
Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
So it's not about being immovable. Exactly, Leo. That's how he teaches dancers. That's how we teach everybody. Isn't that all we're trying to do with every prospect, is get them to dance with us? That's all we're trying to do, is to get people to dance with us. So this just came to me, a tagline for Leo. I teach dance to all of the partnerless people in the world.
Wow. I love that.
And so, because remember what we heard on Sunday, is that his desire is to be able to let all of the fatherless children know they're loved.
I love that. I love that.
So as you sit with your parents saying that same phrase, I love that. I love that they protect me. I love that they want to have a discussion. I love that they believe their decisions are the best for me. I just want to find out what qualifies their decisions as the best for me. Or are these decisions that are being transferred from them to me?
I think it's funny how you said that about the whole planning not to, like, playing not to win. And I feel like that has founded my whole idea of what success is.
Right.
And how I keep thinking that success and failure are two different things rather than them being the same thing.
Well, playing not to lose is just as much as failure is losing.
Yeah, I know.
But we think if we're in the game, and listen, if the score is 9-8, here's the challenge. And my bride gets a little frustrated with me sometimes, because you guys have heard me say this. Mason came home with a medal one day from kindergarten, and I'm like, what the hell is that for? Well, because of everybody got a medal. So I took his medal away. And then he got a trophy in first grade. I'm like, for what? Well, everybody got a trophy. I took his trophy away. And now I did my best. What can you explain to a kindergartner, and what can you explain to a first grader? You really can't. But I still have the trophies, and now I have conversations with them. I go, do you remember these? He goes, all I remember is you taking it away from me. I go, Now, why did I take it away from you? So you know the rest of the story, because not everybody gets a trophy for just showing up. And so that's the challenge is everybody thinks parents don't want their kids to go fail because they want everybody to win.
Yeah.
Listen, some of the biggest failures are some of my greatest wins. Right? How many of you have failed with a relationship? And how many of you think, well, that saved me from doing that 1,000 times over? So I say all of that to say the lessons will continue until the lesson is learned. And if you keep going at your parents, if you keep going, what's the phrase y'all use? You keep going at their neck, right? Or something like that. You keep coming at my neck and spit and fire or whatever the phrases are, right? Don't let me like.
Oh my God.
And you keep wanting to show up with facts, right? Whatever that is. And say, listen, help me understand your decision-making process. And then watch the smoke pour out of their ears and they'll get back to you in a week. Ask a question that invokes conversation, not defense.
Okay.
Yeah, you're giggling.
Yeah, I feel like you're really coming for me. Like, you're literally telling me to do all the things that I do not do, and it's just like.
Well, because here's the thing: now that you know the things that you did that didn't work, guess what you get to do? All of the things that might work. But we don't.
Okay.
Because we become ownership of it, we keep thinking the grass isn't fun. The grass is fun, and just prove that to us. And every one of us that has always thought the grass was fun is like, that's weird. Well, that's the same thing your parents are going. That's weird. Did any of them own a business at your age?
No.
No. So how could they possibly speak to it? How could they possibly understand it? So if they can't understand it, a scared mind does what? Shuts down. And we get the authoritative figure going, you're wrong, I'm right. And these are my rules. Do as I say, not do as I do.
That's literally the mentality.
And so your job in the greatest prospecting event you'll ever do is to prospect them to the idea of how their thought process is not only limiting you, but potentially, quite possibly, there's a chance might be limiting them as well. But you can't go, hey, listen, I was on a call this morning and this guy said you guys are wrong. That probably won't work well for you.
That is my first go-to.
And he's all successful and he's built businesses and he stood on stage. What have you guys done? Okay, your internet's gone. What? Bakumi will be calling us out. Somebody's going to have a can to the ear going, what's Bakumi saying? Pull the string tighter.
Oh my God, this is literally the conversations I've had and they've just not gone well. But to be fair, I've seen growth in them because, like.
Well, now wait a second. Let's put this on both sides. Have you grown enough to see growth in them?
Yeah, because usually I would just assume that they were doing things to
Right.
make me out of joy.
And so, what do you think? Where do you think their growth came from?
I feel like almost now, like actually listening to each other rather than just talking.
Right, but what's an influence in their life that's changed as well?
Would that be me?
Mm-hmm. Since you've had your awakening, they've heard things differently because your vibration has changed. The way you show up in the world has changed. So therefore it's changed in them just by being in the same presence of you. Now, these parents, are they your biological parents?
Yeah.
So your energy changed. Where's half of your mom's DNA? In you.
In
Where's
me.
half of your dad's DNA?
In me.
So when you 100% change, half of them changes.
Whew. So that's your nugget right there.
But this is what science has proven. We think it goes one way. Energy doesn't have a direction. It does when you put your hand in hot water, it goes to you, and when you put your hand in cold water, your heat goes to it. How does it know to do that? That's just the way energy flows. So when your energy is high and energetic, their lives are better for it.
That's so weird.
And it's just, I mean, there's things that happen to Michelle and I can tell you what kind of day Mason has had at work. I can literally instantly tell you when something goes sideways at work. And Michelle is upstairs. Her office is above my office here in the house. And I'll go, did you feel that? If I don't hear her on the call, I go, did you feel that? She go, yeah, what was that? I go, it was your son. And sure enough, I'll notice the time. I'll go, so what happened at 8 o'clock? He goes, how do you know that? Some guy will give him a tip. He'll speak Spanish to somebody or something goofy will happen. But I can pretty much tell you whenever something happens to him at work, because he's highly emotional at work. He's not emotional, but it's an emotionally charged situation because it's the first time for him to be engaged in the workplace. And it's all new people he meets on a daily basis. And he comes across people from all walks of life through a drive-through. If he's outside delivering meals, some people, he says, like 1 out of 100's a jerk. And I told him, I said, you're going to find those. He goes, man, I found one of those people you talked about today. I said, did you smile? He goes, yeah. I said, good. Maybe there won't be a jerk next time. But you have the ability to influence your parents.
Oh.
So what'd you like from this conversation?
I like how you challenge what I think I came in expecting you to like say some things that would help me. Yeah. But you did you challenge what I originally thought of them and what our conversations are and how I can possibly step it up. And even to the fact that I could influence who they are more than the same way they influence who I am. I think that really helped, especially because now I feel like I can finally have a conversation about what my dreams are and me possibly traveling the world, which I thought I could never really have because they shut it down so quickly, like how Anne literally said. But now I feel like I can actually have a conversation rather than just booking a flight and just leaving.
And so here's what I will caution you is that when you start to have conversations that expand their capacity, what do you think they have a choice between misery and joy? When you start to expand and change the way you dialogue with them, there's a chance they may go into misery. They may go in because you may be there expanding their thinking at a rate that's not possible for them to expand, for them to think about traveling the world when they are worried about a bill that's coming up or an expense of potential future expense that's coming up. You're their daughter. Typically when daughters get married, who has to pay for the bill?
Bride's family.
Right. So do you think their conversation is at some point going, man, when she finds him, what are we going to do for the wedding? See, that's probably never crossed your mind. You know that the mom and dad pay for it, but you're like, they're probably not, you're not sweating over it. Maybe they are. What are they going to leave their grandbabies? I'm not even married yet. I know, but don't you think they might be thinking about that? That was the greatest I've heard in a while. See, we changed the way we look at. I can speak to you as a parent, my love.
Yeah, I think that's maybe why I asked you, because I was like, I don't understand what is going on in their minds.
Right. But now you have a little insight. Now you have, because it's not that they want to limit your growth. They want to make sure that they can support what it is you want to do, and they think they have to do it all. If they understood how much you're working on you taking care of you, that would allow them to take care of you better. See, that's a whole paradigm. That's like put me in a blender and spit me out. I'm like, that ain't ever happened in eons in our family's generation. Or a daughter could wind up creating income that could take care of us in the next 3 to 4 years. Well, that's just a pipe dream. And so we're not even going to let that happen, because that's never happened in our family's histories.
Oh my God.
Change the way we look at things, and the things we look at change. Listen, if you were my daughter, I'd be saying, get your ass on the computer and talk to more people. I'd be going, have you prospected anybody? Do I need to send out any thank you letters? What do you need me to do?
They actually hate me being on my phone. Like, they hate it.
Right, because they don't understand it. So is it not your job? Is it not your mission, right? Mission impossible, should you choose to accept it, is to ask them what if they had a chance to leverage technology, what would they love to do?
Ooh.
You guys, listen, I want to speak to my kids on the call, right? All of you like under 30. I want to speak to you and say, part of the prospecting that you need to learn is to get those parental units that support you or guide you or are part of your life to buy into the fact that you're a champion, and that in this world you operate in this digital world, people think you're pretty freaking cool. But you haven't prospected the people who influence you the most to that point yet. If every one of your parents understood how much of a world changer you are, they would be, can I up your data plan? But no, we go, you don't understand. I'm trading. Trading what? Forex. Are you freaking kidding me? What is 5X? You make more money at 5X? There is no such thing as 5X. There's no such thing as Forex. Oh, you're trading international currency. You can't even spell. My mother would say, the school I went to was called Gilmore, Gilmore. It was a private school run by the Brothers of the Holy Cross. And I couldn't spell. And my mother her favorite phrase was, way to go, Gilmore. And she's like, you can't, but she said it in love, but she said, oh my God, you can't spell. And she kept a check. I don't know why I'm telling you this, but she kept a check on her desk. Our tax accountant was Hobson Strain. Hobson, Hobson, Strain. Well, I don't know. Some of you may remember. How many of you know the cartoon Calvin and Hobbes? So it's an old cartoon. So I wrote out the check. I went over to pay the taxes over in Bartow, Florida to pay the check. And I wrote it out Hobbs, H-O-B, and A-N-D, Strain, instead of Hobson. And they cashed the check, and my mother got the check back, and she goes, hey, Gilmore. She goes, what's the tax names? I said, Hobson Strain. She goes, it's Hobson Strains. And so that was a check. That was kind of this joke that my mom kept, because I still to this day, my brothers would remember that because they made fun of me. My point is that our parents don't see us as these world changers. They don't see us as influencers because they don't understand social media, and they don't understand the reach you have, and they can't understand why 11,000 people follow you. And whenever you shake your tail feather, you get more likes than when you don't shake your tail feather. And all your dad sees is that somebody's picking on my little girl. And all your mom sees is that, oh my gosh, I wonder if anybody's making inappropriate comments to her. They don't see you as these world changers. So you guys got to sit your asses down and have a grown-up conversation like you do with the people that you're looking to sponsor and enroll, and say, hey, listen, I need your help so that we can guide ourselves together on this journey. I need your influence. I need your support. And you're going to get hit with some real stupid stuff. But it's not stupid because their perception is their reality. And it goes back to the conversation. What's the title behind me? What are you waiting to forgive? You have to forgive yourself for not being a better educator to them. Yeah, but they're my parents. How's that working for you?
Wow.
Yeah. Ugh, I thought you were on my side. I am on your side. I'm giving you
I was low-key feeling that.
I know you were. I can hear you. That's why I'm saying, if you were my girl, get off that damn call with Sean and start talking to more people. You don't need any more of that jibber jabber. All it's going to do is get you upset.
Oh my God, this is very thought-provoking conversation that I need to have with my parents. No, that I get to have with my parents.
Help me understand. What do you think I do? Oh, well, all you do is you're on your damn phone. You're going to have to sit and say, that's a perspective, and say, I know, but why? Why do you think I'm on my phone? I don't know. You just talk to people and I never see you do anything, because they don't understand how to leverage technology. They just don't. They don't understand that you can have a business right here. It's like when I tell people, I've got two capsules, and these two capsules allow me a $40 million a year business. What? How is that possible?
Damn. Oh my God.
Very well. Why do you ask? 2 capsules twice a day. That's all I tell people. 2 capsules twice a day. Eat it with some food, drink some water. $40 million a year business. Company will do 200 and little over 200 million this year. 2 capsules. I'm sorry, you haven't figured it out. You think your 2 capsules is 8 hours a day behind working for somebody else and hoping they don't fire you. That's your 2 capsules a day. Your 2 capsules a day, Bakumi, is international currency. Somebody else's 2 capsules a day is they're helping women feel better, look better from the outside in, from the inside out. Your 2 capsules is leveraging a trend that's happening that you have no control over, but you can take advantage of. They've never had a 2 capsule a day program in their life. And their kid, is going to tell them 2 capsules. I get to leverage international trends at the click of a button, at the speed of thought, to be able to capture the arbitrage that exists in currency exchange. Yeah, that and a lead balloon. So see which one hits the floor first. Wouldn't it be cool if you enrolled your parents?
Mate, honestly, I would love that. I don't know why I just said mate.
Right? So what if that's your next biggest prospecting conversation? But the challenge is that most of you are trying to prospect people your age, when people your age may not have the influence. But the hardest prospecting job you'll ever do is to get those that love you to fall in love with what you do. They don't have to do it, but allow them to fall in love with what you do. Because otherwise, it's just resistance.
And it's struggles.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow.
Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sean.
That help?
That did help, because otherwise we would have had the conversation out of anger rather than joy.
Yeah. And so again, misery, joy, And listen, they're going to get agitated because they can't even imagine their daughters having this intellectual conversation about business. This is our little girl. We just got her out of diapers like 2 months ago in their eyes. My mother said to me at 36 years old, she was mad as a hornet at me. And she said, "You'll always be my baby." I'm like, I'm 36 years old. Didn't kick in until Mason was born. He's 16. I go up on Saturday mornings after our call, if he's still sleeping, and I'll get in bed with him and I'll lay down and I'll snuggle up to him and hug him. It's like hugging he's 6'2", 270 pounds. I'm 6'3", 230 pounds. He's bigger than I am, but he's my baby. Every parent in here knows exactly what I'm talking about. And he's my baby. And he's my little boy. And the puppies jump up and the puppies jump on him. And Beamish and Jameson jump up there and I go, "Oh, I'll give the baby kisses." He used to lay on my chest. Now he would crush me. But you will always be their baby, period, end of story. So you have to transition them into you, this powerful international entrepreneur who gets on a call in the afternoons from the UK and guides a call of a global community called the Misfit Community, and you guide them and teach them on a daily basis. You just want to see their heads explode and then pass out in their chairs? Some of that. I guide and direct a global call every afternoon, Mom and Dad, so buzz off.
Wow.
Change the way we look at things and the things.
And the things we look at change.
See, when you come on here and ask questions, are you not guiding and teaching us? Yeah, but I'm learning. But isn't that the best way the rest of us learn, is when we watch somebody else learn? So
Yeah.
Are you not guiding us? Are you not mentoring us? A definition of a mentor is what? Somebody who allows you to walk away with their wisdom. You're gaining wisdom. A lot of people will walk away with it. Some people will set it down. Others will pick it back up.
It's hard to comprehend.
Welcome to my world.
Wow. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Sean.
You sit in a different authority now, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I want to have that conversation today.
Yep. And again, be prepared. My goal is to give you the conversation that says, be prepared for them to not be ready to join you in this dialogue. So
yeah,
listen,
I know it's going to take a month, at least a month.
Become the observer, take notes, listen to their responses, not to react, but to say, okay, where did that come from? And when you start, if you don't know where it came from, then don't argue it. But chances are it's going to come from their what? Their old story. Who do you think has an older story, you or them?
Them.
And you're changing.
Without being disrespectful.
And you can't go, nah, I'm changing my story. I'm a global entrepreneur. What are you doing, slackers? Probably not the best way to start a conversation. It'll be the best learning prospecting conversation you have, because it may take a month in order to have the dialogue. Because you don't ever listen, if you trigger the amygdala, the fight or flight, you got to start all over. So when your amygdala gets triggered, breathe and go, okay, you know what? I don't know, make believe you got to go to the bathroom, but leave the conversation before it gets too energetic Otherwise, it's a constant repeat, rolling the ball up the hill, rolling the stone up the hill. Before you get it to the top, it rolls back down. Push it back up, and it rolls back down. Just be aware of it. Drop little hints in this dialogue. Ask little basic questions, some fundamental questions. If you could build a business that you would love, what would be your dream business? And understand where their ideas come from. I could never own a business. Oh, I know that, but what would be your dream business? Don't be surprised if your mom says raising llamas. I don't know. But you might be surprised with their answers. And when you really find out what it is they want, guess what you've done? I've partnered with a company that'll help me get my parents a farm to raise llamas. I love when Bakumi goes quiet. That's like my biggest check mark for the day. I got Bakumi speechless.
Sean, may I add to that?
Sure,
With
please.
Bikini? Listen,
Yes,
ladies,
please.
as a daddy's girl of now 52 years, I encourage both of you and anyone else on here to have this conversation with your parents sooner than later. Whether it goes right, wrong, how you expect, it doesn't matter. The longer you wait, the more difficult it is on your parents. Not so much you, but on your parents, which in turn does affect you drastically. I don't know if you guys were on the call Saturday when I was talking to Sharon. Listen, you guys, I married at 18 and moved to South Carolina, which was 8 hours away from my parents, from my daddy's little girl, right? And at 40 years old, when I had a man move in with me for the first time ever, unmarried, my dad I called him to tell him. I mean, my dad and I talked about everything, right? My dad said to me, I'm coming to get you and bringing you back to my house. At 40 years old, mind you, I was still daddy's little girl. And he didn't want me to go through any heartache and pain. Your parents will always be your parents. They will always worry about you. Now, I don't have children, so I'm speaking from the child point of view. Even at age 52, your parents are always your parents and will always worry about you. So the sooner you can have this conversation, the better your home life will be, especially if you're living at home. And Anne, my heart was tugging with you regarding your dad, my dad raised me to be this strong, independent woman, but yet he wanted to keep his finger on me, so to speak. He didn't want me to grow up, but yet that's what he taught me to do. And he always wanted me to need him. And there were times, and I realized this in my 30s, and there were times I would call him and ask for his opinion on something I had already made my decision on because I already knew what he was going to say. But just that small conversation, I could tell me asking for his opinion meant more than anything. So just kind of keep that in mind. It doesn't change anything because, again, at age 40, my dad was like, I'm coming to get you. And I'm like, Dad, I'm 40 years old. I'm not leaving, this is my house. So I love you ladies, but the sooner you can have the conversation with your parents, the better, for sure.
Michelle, can I ask you something?
Yes, please.
See, I am daddy's little girl, but I find it so hard to tell him that I love him. I don't know why. Like, I could tell my mom, but my dad, I'm just like, I just do things for him. Like, I can't physically say, I don't know why. I mean, I know it's my ego, but I don't know why I have that ego.
Are you afraid of how he's going to react when you say that?
Yeah.
That's how I was with my dad. I went through therapy for almost 25 years for issues with what came from my dad. And I would get on the phone with my dad. My dad and I pretty much talked every day. And if I talked about my dad or if I got on the phone with him, I would, and now mind you, I was 3 hours away from him, so it wasn't like we were physically close. But my ex-husband would say, "Why do you always cry when you're on the phone with your dad?" And I never could answer that. It was just like this strong pull.
For job shops and make to order manufacturing.
And so I get that. I think dads put a fear of wrath in us sometimes as their little girl, and they're like, he's our protector, like your dad, Ann, cannot see you growing up and leaving and even just coming to America for a trip. He would worry himself sick, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's not that we're afraid of rejection. Anne, are you afraid you're going to see a soft side to your dad, maybe, that you don't normally see if you tell him you love him?
Yeah. He's very on it. He doesn't let his vulnerability show.
And are you afraid to see that in your dad? Or do you not want to put him in that position to show it because you're afraid it'll hurt him?
Yeah, I think it's the latter.
Yeah, I get it. But it's okay. It will bring you guys closer together because, as you know, the more vulnerable we are on these calls, what does it do? It brings us all closer together. It will bring you guys closer together. And I was the same way. I didn't want to I always felt I was responsible for how my dad felt. I didn't want to say the wrong thing. I didn't want to hurt him.
Yeah.
Even though he supported me almost in everything. And we think of if our dads get soft-hearted and emotional like that, we think we're hurting them because they're not this strong individual that they have portrayed all this life. But that's not true.
Yeah.
And it's okay if your dad shows a softer side. It is okay. Is it going to be difficult on him? Absolutely, Ann. But it probably would be best for your and his relationship. It will open each other up because you're going to see a raw side of him that you've never seen before. And it will also open the door for a lot of conversations. It'll make the rest of the conversations you have with him easier because you won't fear that breakdown of your dad because he's already had it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. That helped a lot.
Yeah. Got a lot of work to do now. Damn it.
Yeah, same. I guess I always just saw my dad's softer side. I mean, the only time I've seen my dad's softer side is when his family members have died.
Yeah, me too.
And that's the common place, right? That's the acceptable place to be soft, is when we lose a life, not when we see our child grow and get strong. We cry when they get married, right?
Yeah.
We do all of these things. We cry at very highly emotional situations. It's rare for us to see, but I will tell you this: most dads that I know, that I hang out with, are waiting for the next thing to happen and missing out on the moment. We're fixers, and we've got to fix the next thing that's going to happen: the wedding, the heartbreak, the this, and let alone get involved with one of your relationships, right? That ain't going to happen. So then we got to worry about the wedding, and then we got to worry about what if something happens there. And and don't ever hurt my little girl. She'll always be and all of these things. So the only thing we can do is stand guard. So when you stand guard, the guards never get to know the queen.
Very, very true. I
Wow.
have learned that after my dad and I had, when I was this 40-year-old episode, my dad cut me off. Like, we were talking every day for the last 5 years. And when I did not do what my dad wanted me to do, he said, that's it. We did not speak again for over 2 years.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, he cut me off. You talk about loving somebody with conditions. And my mom's like, and my parents are divorced. And my mom was like, we're not supposed to forsake our kids. And I'm like, he just cut me off. Like, would not talk to me. And I'm like, I'm 40 years old. Hello, mister. And in therapy, the therapist, which my dad came to therapy twice with me. And before the day that he came, she told me, she said, he's a bully. And I never saw it that way. And I'm not saying y'all's dads are bullies, by no means, but the control my dad thought he had over me and wanted to keep over me was where the issue was. My dad and I speak now, maybe once every 6 months. But like I said, Thanksgiving and birthdays, he still gives us money. He gives us money on Thanksgiving to shop the sales for Christmas. He gives us Christmas money and birthday money. But I don't get the money unless I go to lunch with him. So to me, that money still is tied to a condition. Like, and in my mind, I'm like, Dad, if you loved me and for whatever, like COVID hit and we didn't get to meet for my birthday. So he did send me my money, which I don't need the money, but I was shocked because I feel like he's paying me to come visit him. I don't get my money until that day that I meet him for lunch. And to me, that money means nothing to me, for one, because it shouldn't be tied to a condition. Now, does my dad have issues? Absolutely. Does my dad know it? Absolutely. My dad's in his 70s now, and, I hope he's living his best life. But I'm telling you guys, the sooner you can have the conversation, the better, because the wrath that you feel now with your dads, it will get worse. And I would not want you guys to go through what I've been through, from having this loving, caring man in my life to, because I did something that he didn't want me to do, cut me off, like disown me. And if I can help you guys with that, there's no need for that.
Wow. Thank you, Michelle.
Honestly, that really helps. Probably gonna have the conversation tonight. I'm scared, but I'm going to.
My heart is beating.
Yeah, mine too. I'm sweating.
So Michelle, I'd ask you to speak to that. How do they have the courage to have this?
My first thought when Ann said that, it just came and went. I mean, it just disappeared as quick as it came. And say it again, and maybe it'll come back.
I'm sweating. I've got to have this conversation, but I'm scared. What else do I say?
And then Bakumi said, my heart's beating too. I'm going to do that. But I'm going to
here we go. But understand how scared your dad is to have the same conversation.
We're both scared.
Yeah.
And it will bring you guys closer. It should, maybe not instantly, but it will. I think your dad will respect you more. Not so much respect, but understand that his baby's growing up. I get the scaredness. I was always afraid to talk to my dad about anything like, something like this. and oh gosh, I mean, I just get it. I feel it, It's not going to be as bad as what you think. And I think with our dads, we always fear the worst. We fear the wrath that's going to come back on us and the words they speak back to us. If you guys can relate to that.
Yeah.
I feared my dad's lectures. I would rather him giving me a spanking any day. But when I got in trouble, yeah, I had to wait till 4:35 when Dad come home from work, and I got the lecture. Oh man, I would have rather had my mom beat the living daylights out of me as to have that lecture. So I get that, and it's gonna hurt your dads. I mean, I say it's gonna hurt them. They're gonna have to realize their baby girls are growing up. It's a good growing pain. Let's put it that way. It's a good growing pain for them. But I think they will understand where you guys are coming from more. And it will allow them to see that they have done a good job as raising you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It will allow that to show through. It's going to be hard for them to swallow. You may get a little bit of the ignore treatment for a little bit and it's not that they're ignoring you. They're processing it. Let's put it this way. This is new for them too, if that makes sense. This is a whole new arena for them too, with you growing up. So it will be as uncomfortable for them as it is for you. But it's a necessity, in my opinion, to maintain the relationship. Because if you don't have it now, in 5 years, think how much fear is going to build up within you in the next 5 years. And all the ill feelings of things they say or don't say over the next 5 years. It gets tougher to have that conversation.
Yeah.
They're going to love you regardless.
I feel like I want to have this conversation when I move out, just like a bye. No, I'm kidding. I'll have
Good. There's that choice.
Yeah, you can do it then.
I'll do it too.
Here's the good news, is that it's always going to be an ongoing conversation. And Michelle, it happened at 40, but there was a conversation going on from age 39 and before. It was just and so now the opportunity is can you begin the dialogue that will be both beneficial for the both of you for the rest of your lives.
That's it, right? That's it, Sean. Beneficial for the rest of your lives, because from this, after you have that conversation, your relationship will only deepen.
Yep. And so this is you. I mean, literally, you can, I know it'll seem weird, but whatever it is that you could just have the conversation. Here's what the conversation would look like. I know it's going to seem weird, but this is the visual I get. Imagine you just snuggling up on their lap. When's the last time they got to hold their little baby girl? Oh, never. Okay, so maybe that's not going to happen. But I can tell you this, when Mason comes over and sits on the couch and grabs a pillow and throws his pillow on my lap and lays down and we watch TV and I get to put my hand on his chest, he could ask for anything in the world.
Darn.
So just maybe leaning on him, sitting next to him and just snuggling up to him and hugging him.
He doesn't like that.
Well, again, that may not be the thing, but there's something that you do that reminds him of his little girl. And that could be the start of the conversation. It's not like, hey, Dad, let's sit down and let's draw the boundaries out of how I'm going to live my life. That's not the way to start the conversation.
Yeah.
It didn't work at 40 for Michelle. But all I can let you in on from a dad perspective is that you'll always be our babies. Listen, you guys will always be my babies.
Oh, sure.
But what I'm saying is that the age range will always be the different. When I'm 80 and you're 30 years from now, you're in your 40s and 50s, you'll still be my babies. And I'll say, I remember when. And as your icons and running the UN and heads of nations and running multinational corporations and
Yes, queen.
right.
Yes.
And I get to call you and you send a plane to come pick me up, one with a ramp because I'll be
Oh my God. Yes.
right. But you know what I'm saying? But these things, this is what the future holds. But you've got to have the conversation now to be able to let those things flow into your life.
That is true.
So there you go. I have an 8:30 I have to get to. Everybody that's got their hand up, remember your question. Come back tomorrow, your comment. Come back tomorrow, and we will start right there. That's how we do this. RBP, are you around, young lady?
Oh, wow, this is so new.
I
Thank you.
am. I'm sitting in my my daughter's swing. So if I look kind of crazy, this is what my surrounding looks like.
Oh, there you go.
I'm looking straight up, listening to y'all, looking at the trees. So let me set up a couple of things. Let me not fall off the swing in front of y'all. No idea what I'm gonna look like sitting back up. Couple of things. Are there guys on the phone call taking notes? Like, are there dads or soon to be dads on the phone call taking notes? Because there was some really amazing information on what it's like to be a man and what it's like to be a dad on here. And then the other thing is, every time we get on this call, we enter this call with gratitude, even if it's from a place of forced gratitude, meaning I'm just going to be happy to be here today. Or this is a place where I get to just be thankful. And you haven't found your gratitude moment
You'll
yet.
be happy whether you like it or not.
Yeah. But nonetheless, we go with the thought of gratitude. And I say that because if we're trying to have conversations with our parents and our dads or moms or whomever, and we're feeling frustrated or feeling nervous or feeling scared, why don't we sit in the same place we are now with those conversations with them? Because the one thing we're learning is we're learning how to show up, not how to tell others to show up. That's what ruins our business. That's what ruins our relationships, is we try to tell people how they're supposed to show up. And we get on this call every morning for 400 and however many episodes. And we are reminded the only person we're responsible for is ourselves. So one of the hardest things you'll ever do as a young person is to have a conversation about your independence with your parents, or to have a different thought than what your parents think. It's very hard to stand on your own. What I'm hearing in this conversation is, why can't I show up with those that I love the same way I do with strangers? And instead of trying to make them show up a certain way, just allow them to show up. Oftentimes we'll treat our strangers better than we will our family. Oftentimes we'll treat a perfect stranger walking down the sidewalk better than we do our family. And it's because we allow them to show up without conditions. We allow them to show up without wanting anything in return. When we sit down with an agenda, with bated breath, with it better go this way, that's when we begin to want to tell them how they need to show up. And it screws us in network marketing, and it screws us in relationships. And as you guys have your own children, you'll realize really quick, if you want the best lesson on how to learn, how to teach somebody, how to treat somebody, have a kid and sit down and have a conversation with them, because they'll see through you in like 0.2 seconds and call you a liar and remind you as to how they learned you were a liar. And people do that with us all the time. Then we sit and we have these conversations, because I've gone through this like Bakumi and Anne, and we want to be treated a certain way in a conversation with our parents, but yet when we go at them with an agenda instead of just allowing them to show up. So y'all have my mind spinning, and it's very interesting, and I really like it, because how many times do we get frustrated at people because we show up with an agenda, with an intention that's something other than just being thankful we get to show up with them? You guys have your parents. You guys have your parents. They're here on this planet. A lot of people don't. Now, are they the perfect parents? Probably not. But this is their first time to ever parent you. They may have parented another child, but this is their first time to ever parent you. They know just as much about what they're doing as you do, which is very little. And their brain looks for two things. Will it kill me, and where's the pattern? And we sit and we hold our parents to this high esteem, like they've raised 19 million children and they know exactly what to do and they've got it all paved out. And, they don't. I don't with that little 8-year-old in there. No. Every day is a different day. Every moment's a different moment. So as you sit and you hear them answer you in certain ways, and I am not condoning any behavior. I'm just saying, look and see where the behavior comes from. And the grace and the mercy that you want extended to you, are you extending it to them? And can you continue? Because first and foremost, they're also somebody else's daughter or son. And are you being respectful to their parents on how you're treating their daughter and their son? And when you begin to think of it that way, you realize there's value from everybody. And they're a heart wanting a place to arrive, to be loved, maybe through some conditions because they're scared, or because of their pattern, or because they're scared this is going to kill them. So there's so many questions and ways to look at what we're looking at and talking about. The guys on here, I would encourage you to go back and listen to this, because you're listening to the heart of daughters and what it feels like. And you're also listening to the things society has placed on you as to how to act and how not to act. And then daughters, I would encourage you that, and even if your dad doesn't like the snuggy, huggy, things like that, there was a moment in his life where putting your little body on his chest or in his arms made him gasp for a moment. So even if he tries to tell you he doesn't like that, it could be the fact because he knows it'll be taken away. So the quicker he releases that thought of holding on to you, the better it is. But it's still deep inside. You're his DNA. So take those moments and expect nothing in return. And utilize your network marketing understanding that Sean's been teaching you on here with your family. And see what it does for you. And then write it down, then report back. And tell us, because I guarantee you, myself and everybody else included, we're forgetting and we're missing a few things when we're dealing with those that we love that are the closest to us, because we expect them to act a certain way, and they're just human, and they're a heart looking for a place to arrive. So as I sit here in my daughter's swing under the trees listening to y'all, that's what comes to me.
And y'all thought I was going to drop the hammer today.
Was that a hammer drop?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I love y'all. Thanks for making me think differently today.
Well, there you go. So all I can say is lots of lessons on today's calls. Thank you for having the courage to bring those questions up. And this is why you are all so powerful, is to get us to all think. 1% of the population think, 2% think they think, the other 97% would rather die than think. What you did today was a 1% and 2%er conversation. It was the top 3% of the world conversation. They're not easy conversations to have. You did them. You created them. You put them into effect today. So be cautious when you take your 3% awareness to the 97% world. Because what you now know is greater than what you knew before, which is more than most people are even aware of. So you have to sit like Yoda and be able to ask the questions to get them to the edge of the 3%, to the edge of thinking, to the edge of seeing what they've raised. If my son comes to me, and when he comes to me and asks me questions about humanity, about human nature, why people do things at work, do you know how much joy I sit in? As opposed to keep your head low and don't cause any waves. I get to sit there and respond to him because A, I have all of you to sharpen my saw every single day. But could you imagine the proudness of you? Imagine when they finally realize what it is that you're asking for is how to love each other more. Their parents never said, I love you. Diane said, my parents never said, I love you. Your parents may not say they love you. Julia's got a dad who's probably, his parents never said they love him to him in 80 years. So it's sitting in these questions. These are powerful questions for all of us, and a great lesson in learning how to prospect at a level we've never prospected before. When Rhonda goes on a tear for a rank, she sits down and has a conversation with her daughter and says, listen, I'm going to need your help. Can you help me during this particular time frame as I go on this run? But most parents get all bent out of shape. Listen, I'm doing something here. I'm trying to help you, blah, blah, blah. And they never have that dialogue. Well, when you go on your run for your next rank, might it not help to engage your parents and say, here's what I'm going to do? Do you think they want to support you? They just don't know how. This is a whole different world. So you've asked some amazing questions. So there you go. What an amazing day. Maybe it's the topic of the conversation was to begin to forgive yourself for how amazing you've become and then step into it. Maybe. I'm Sean Murphy, your head misfit, trying to figure out life on a daily basis, working better every day to do that. I'll see y'all where?
At the next event.
Y'all send some love to each other.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Bye,
You guys.
everyone.
You guys later.
Have a beautiful day, everybody.
Love y'all.
Bye, y'all. Love y'all. Have a great day.
I love you guys. Have a great day.
Everybody.
Bye.